Hi, grade sixes. So today we are going to be looking more closely at the Convention on the Rights of a Child, uh, and we're going to be talking about what those rights are. And you are going to complete an assignment, a photo assignment, where you find photos and then explain what right that child is receiving or not receiving, depending on the photos you choose. So we're going to quickly review last week's material, and then we're going to move into today's. So as we saw in our last lesson, all human beings, whether they be children or adults, have rights. However, with these rights also come responsibilities. Now, do you remember what the difference is between a right and a responsibility? A right is something that you are entitled to. It's something that would help you receive a basic human need that you would have. However, as we also saw, with all rights come responsibilities. Responsibilities are things that you need to do because you have those rights. So we looked at a chart last week full of rights and responsibilities that we might see at school. So, for example, one of them I think was like you have the right to an education, but you have a responsibility not to interrupt anyone else's education or cause any disturbances. So that is the difference between a right and a responsibility. After we discussed this, we also looked at the UN's Convention on the Rights of a Child. And as I said to you last week, there are about 54 articles in here that address different things that all children have the right to. And those can kind of basically be broken up into about four different kind of sections uh, where all those articles would fall under. So we'll kind of go over those as well. I've also attached a video in the classroom about your rights, and it's called Your Rights Matter. It gives a bit more of an in-depth review of what we would have discussed last week, as well as talks about some of the articles in that convention that really stand out and might be the most important. So please click on that video. It's in there. It's just called Your Rights Matter. So the Convention on the Rights of the Child can be broken up into four different parts. I'm going to kind of explain each of the parts in detail. They're listed there, they're bolded, but I'll kind of give you more detail about each. So the first kind of section we could say that the convention is broken up into is the right to survive. So this means that every child has the right to live with freedom and dignity, have enough food, water, shelter, and clothing to meet his or her needs, receive proper medical care, or live with his or her family, or be well cared for if this is not possible. Meaning, if they cannot be well cared for with their own family, they would live with another family. So those are some of the articles that would fall under the right to survive. The next one is the right to be protected from harm. So some of the articles that might fall under this are the right to live in a clean environment, to be protected from physical harm or abuse, or to be protected from long work hours or forced labor. So in last week's lesson, I talked a little bit about child labor and explained what that was. So that is what that would be referring to, that they want to make sure that children have the right to not have to work long hours or be forced to work if they don't want to. The next section is the right to develop to the fullest. Some articles that might fall under this section are enjoy life without discrimination, receive an education, and enjoy recreation and play. And next week we will be talking about some different non-government organizations called NGOs that kind of work to help human beings obtain these rights and raise awareness, including an organization called Right to Play. So we'll go into that a little bit more next week, but that's an example of an organization that is tackling one of these one of the articles found in this convention. The last one is the right to participate in family, cultural, and social life. So some articles that could fall under this are have a name and a nationality. We discussed that last week when we looked at the beginning of the convention about how everyone has the right to an identity and the right to a name. Live with his or her family, practice cultural traditions and customs, practice his or her religious beliefs, and have his or her voice heard. So those four kind of sections sort of explain basically what articles there are in the convention, and we can kind of group them into those categories. I did write, however, that in saying this about the convention, we have to remember that we are living in an imperfect world, and that even though this convention does exist, many abuses do still take place around the world. And there are, I think, about 3 countries who have not signed on to this convention. One of them being the United States, which I found was very, very surprising. So just keep that in mind as you look through the convention. And in case you don't know what I'm referring to this document here, and you will be using it for today's assignment as well, and I'm going to explain what that is going to look like. So today's assignment is called Comparing Rights Around the World, and this is what you're going to be doing. You will find or collect 5 photos from the internet of children in various countries of the world. In the assignment, I want you to explain what's happening in the picture, and I do also have here that I want you to try find photos that show how children's experiences with rights can be different in other parts of the world. So, for example, if you find a photo of a child in Canada, maybe you wouldn't want all your photos to represent just the children of Canada. You want to make sure that your photos that you choose represent a variety of children from around the world, and also kind of maybe touch on some of the rights in the convention. So you don't want to touch on the same rights. So, for example, if you are talking about maybe the right to an identity, you don't want to pick 5 pictures about somebody having a name. You want to make sure that all of your pictures show a different right. So give a list of the rights that the photo would show, and I also have here that I've attached the convention document for you. So I'm going to show you what the assignment looks like. Everybody will get their own copy of the PowerPoint. And remember that when you find the photos, it can either show a child receiving a right, or it can show a child not receiving a right. So just keep that in mind. The photos don't have to show receiving a right. They can also show a child who's being deprived of a right, or a child who doesn't have a right that is in the convention. So just an important note. So here's the assignment, and as you will see, I have 5 slides like this organized for you. So you will paste your photo here and answer the 2 questions. So question number 1 is, what is happening in the photo you chose? Question 2 is, what rights does this picture show? And again, that can be rights the child's receiving or rights that the child is not receiving based on the picture. If you don't like the layout of how this looks for you, you may change it. That's not a problem. I know when people submitted their last assignment about the UN poster, everybody's looked completely different, and that's fine. That's actually great. If you feel like you need more room to answer the questions, you can always also insert a new slide to give yourself more space. So this is just kind of like a very kind of, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. This is kind of like a generic sort of PowerPoint. Yours doesn't have to look like this when it comes to me, but it's just to give you kind of a layout so that you can get started at least. So that is the assignment for today. And like I said, I will attach the conventions so that you can look through the rights yourself. If you have any questions, you can message me in the Google Classroom. You can send me a Gmail. You can comment on the assignment if something you're not sure of. And have a great day, and we'll be chatting soon. Bye.